Well, good morning, everyone. This is a very important update with Tropical Storm Laura. She is on the borderline of being a Category 1 hurricane. As you can see her, she has now entered into the southeastern Gulf of Mexico, and she is starting to get some very good banding features around the center of circulation. Very good organization. She survived Cuba and Hispaniola very well, very intact, getting a very good inner core together. The National Hurricane Center has shifted the track to the west, now at the Louisiana-Texas state line. And I'm going to show you some very important changes coming up. We also have the projection of a Cat 3 at landfall. If you remember, I've been warning about that for quite some time now. But I wanted to show you this infrared satellite imagery. You can see we have a lot of convection exploding right around the center. This system is really getting its act together. Should be a hurricane any hour now, probably within the next 6 hours. Recon is out there right now. Pressure is down to 991 millibars. That is usually a threshold for a Cat 1 hurricane. So I would expect that this will be a hurricane any hour now, probably within the next 6 hours, if not the next 3 hours or so. So taking a look at where we have Laura right now, we can see that the center is located at 23.4 north, 86.4 west. Maximum sustained winds are 70 miles an hour. It only takes 5 more miles an hour for Laura to become a hurricane. And moving off to the west-northwest at 17 has slowed down just a little bit. And we have some hurricane watches that have been extended to the west down to San Luis Pass and over to the east to Morgan City, Louisiana. Now, I put a highlight in here, and I found this very important in the discussion, and I'm going to show you why this is very, very important, especially for people in the Brazoria County and Harris County and Galveston County areas. And I'm going to show you why this is extremely important. So you need to be really paying attention to this storm, even though the forecast track right now has it going inland at the state line. So if you read the discussion from this morning from the Hurricane Center at 4 a.m., it says the majority of the guidance has shifted a notable distance to the west. And if you remember my last few videos, I've been telling you about this. But this is from the horse's mouth. This is from the Hurricane Center. A majority of the guidance has shifted a notable distance to the west on this run, perhaps due to a weaker trough over Texas and a more westward initial position of Laura, possibly due to persistent northerly mid-level shear. The new NHC prediction is that the the eastern edge of the new guidance envelope. And since I don't want to bite off on such a large change on just one set of model runs, but since the storm has been tracking west of the forecast expectations for quite some time, future westward track adjustments could be required later today. So let me decipher that for you. What they're saying is expect a future adjustment to the track towards the west. So they have adjusted the track gradually towards the west in this run and in previous runs, and I'll show you that here in a second. And so expect a nudge of the track to the west later today, probably at the 10 o'clock advisory and again at the 4 o'clock advisory. And expect some more hurricane watches to be issued and hurricane warnings to be issued later today for Harris, Brazoria County, Galveston County, and maybe even further down the coast. So why has this occurred? And let me show you why. Remember yesterday we had the cluster over southwestern Louisiana. Well, now if you look, the cluster is for the upper Texas coast. None of the guidance is bringing it in southwestern Louisiana. It is all clustered from Galveston Bay to Sabine Pass. And even if we look at the GFS, which is what the Hurricane Center has been predominantly using, that has all shifted to the west. If you look at the 0Z run from last night, the predominant run was bringing it in Sabine Pass, and the Hurricane Center track was still over towards Lake Charles. They were to the east, and the ensemble members were all on either side of that. We had a couple over Brazoria County, San Luis Pass, and we had several over in Jefferson County, and then we had some in Cameron Parish. But now, if we look at the 6Z run, everything is in Texas. We don't have one member of the ensemble cast or even the predominant run, the main run. We do not have one single member in the state of Louisiana. They are all in Texas. That is very concerning, especially if we look at the European run from 6Z. The European run from 6Z has a major hurricane, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. But the 6Z run from the European has a really major hurricane coming right through on the eastern end of Galveston Bay. This black run here is the ensemble mean, but all the ensemble members are on the central Texas coast or the upper Texas coast. Now, the final thing I want to show you as far as the ensembles go is the UK Met. They have come into a lot better agreement, and the mean ensemble is a little bit to the east. We do have some of the UK Mets coming in to southwestern Louisiana, but the majority of them are coming in around Jefferson County. Taking a look at a couple of our oddball hurricane models, you would think you would spend a lot of money from the U.S. government on creating hurricane models and that they would be really good, and actually they're not. But they are actually showing still a landfall around Sabine River or over in Jefferson County, just west of Orange. This model here to the left is the H Wharf, and it has shifted about 50 miles to the west. Now, it was just west of Lake Charles. It is now over towards Sabine River. And the HMON model is now over towards the Jefferson Chambers County line. And that really increases the impacts for Galveston. It gets them over towards the western eye wall. The next thing I want to show you is that European model. And this is from the 0Z run. And you can see it has it coming in around High Island, Bolivar Peninsula, and as a major Category 4 hurricane. Maximum winds there at around 33 feet, 10 meters. Maximum winds are 152 miles an hour. That is a Category 4 hurricane. That would be devastating for that area. That is yet to be seen. I'm not going to rule that out, but it's something we really need to pay close attention to. The one thing I want to draw your attention to is it brings it up to the west-northwest. It bends it back towards the west a little bit. This is very reminiscent. Me and a buddy of mine were talking last night. This is very reminiscent of Ike, where the forecast track kept bending it, wanting to take it north, and it just would not go north. The upper level trough just does not seem to be as strong as it was forecasted to be. So I want to show you real quick the track, how this has shifted since yesterday afternoon. Remember one thing about the Hurricane Center, they're always very slow to move their track, even though we had all of those models yesterday showing you that we had a lot of reason to want to put the Houston, Galveston area under threat, or even the upper Texas coast under threat. They're just very slow to do this. Now, I will remind you to please follow the official forecast, and also please follow the mandatory evacuation orders. Listen to your local emergency management officials. They're in contact with the state. They're in contact with the Hurricane Center. And even though you may not see something on an official track, they're actually getting behind the scenes information and kind of knowing how the sausage is made, so to speak. I did this for 32 years, so I kind of know what goes on behind the scenes sometimes. And so even though, like yesterday, even though the track was way over here in Lake Charles, you were getting some evacuation orders in Galveston, and that was probably a nod from the Hurricane Center saying, yeah, we know we're putting it over here, but yeah, there's so much uncertainty in this forecast that we may have to swing it over here to Galveston. And that's the reason why things were happening in Galveston, even though they were still kind of outside the cone at that time. So you guys really need to pay attention to your local emergency management officials. They do know what they're doing. They are very well trained. I worked with these guys for 30 something years. They do know what they're doing. The final thing I want to show you guys is the most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds. And the reason why this product exists is because this is at the time when you're really not going to be able to do any more preps. You won't be able to get out there. It'll be too dangerous to work. And the arrival time of tropical storm force winds along the upper Texas coast will be sometime Wednesday evening. That'll be the time it'll be too dangerous to get outside, put stuff up. Stuff will be flying around. It'll just be too dangerous to get out there and work. So that's all for now. I will put out another update this afternoon as conditions warrant, especially if there is a major track change. Otherwise, if there is not a major track change, then look for a update sometime later this afternoon, maybe 4 o'clock. But if there is a major track change to the west, look for another update here, maybe around 11 a.m. But if there is not a major track change, then look for an update around 4 or 5. Until then, just remember, the Lord is still on the throne, and He's got this. Be blessed. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this edition of Agape Lifecast. And whether you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, I ask that you do me a favor. Please like the video and share it. And if you haven't already done so, please like the Agape Lifecast Facebook page and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, may God richly bless you and keep you.